This is the 22nd season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. The hits keep rolling on this week. Very excited to talk to today's guest, Chris Johnson, without the T, not the back-to-back Angler of the Year winner, although I think we'll find after the show. You guys, he was on a bunch of shows before. He won some regional stuff, the whole vest, old school, but I don't think even I didn't understand, like some people they're like, oh, I'm old school, like Timmy Hortons like weighed in a jumpsuit before in the Bassmaster Classic. There's a big difference. This guy like walks the walk and talks the talk. So Chris Johnson, crazy story from Kentucky Lake in the Bassmaster Open where he fished a couple days before we head to the Mississippi River for the final Bassmaster Open. I think it's Division II stop of the season to see if we can make the EQs, where I like to say then Bass says, hey, give us another $10,500 and we'll dangle even more carrots. But we'll get to Chris here in a second. I do want to bring it up. Just some odd timing. Sometimes you just kind of shake your head and you wonder where it came from. Last week I had last week I did a show with David Walker, and at the end of the show, Walker was talking about going across the border to Venezuela as part of a fishing troop, and talked about how Harold Allen went with them, and Harold Allen ended up wearing like the Commodore's hat through the airport, and they stayed up till wee hours of the morning, and we talked about Harold. And then I know Randy Block had posted something. The Bass Fishing Hall of Fame just posted something. News is Harold is a Bass Fishing Hall of Fame member of the Hemp Hill Gang, 30 plus years in professional bass fishing. In his later years after he retired, crappie guided on Toledo Bend, legend of the sport. Oh, that's an old school guy right there. V&M pork pin, true turn hook, lead weight, pistol grip, 6'8", just daubing around the stumps for decades. Sees someone on a spot, waits for him at the ramp and really wants to know how he found that spot, or if one of his pals maybe had some loose lips and gave it to him. Harold is at home. I talked to him yesterday for about 15 or 20 minutes, but he has an aggressive form of cancer. I guess he's been battling it for about the past 3 years and is not doing well. I talked to him. He's still there. He's still, Panger. He still made a joke. I traveled with him for like 8-10 years when we did the wide open stuff. Just one of the chapters of his life where Mark and I got to travel and learn from Harold as he kind of worked for Skeeter and did the stuff for the Bass Zone back in the day. We're going old school. But he still took a shot at me. He said, hey, we'd be in all these VRBOs and I'd always lock my door at night. And he would always be like, what are you scared of, Matthew? Why are you always locking your door or that? And then, I was talking to him yesterday a little bit, and he said, I just have one question, Panger. You still lock your door when you go to sleep? I said, damn right I do. I said, I'm married and I have a house and a wife now, so I feel like it's more responsible. But if you have seen those posts online, I know his daughter's posted some, the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame posted some and stuff. I know that Harold is reading, watching, looking at some of those things that people are saying about him, some of the old school stories. So if you know that, if you follow any of that, feel free to go kind of leave a comment on that. On the tails of that, Mark will be here at 10:30. And like I said, he had a life a lot longer than just the legend with BTL and things like that. But Jeffries is going to jump on at 10:30, a secondary show immediately following this, where we're just going to talk about some Harold Allen legend stories. And I have a feeling he will have that fired up, and we'll be listening to that with a little smile underneath that handlebar mustache of that. So wanted to talk that. Prayers for the Allen family. And like I said, he's still around. He's still here. He's still sharp as a tack. He hadn't lost any of that, but not in a good situation, I guess, to say it bluntly. But all right, here we go. Let's kind of set this up. So I said this the last last show, I said about today's guest, I said I typically do not answer calls where the number comes through and I don't know what it is. Like there's no like name attached to the number. Just don't answer those. Most of them are like, hey, your insurance, blah, blah, blah. We can get this on it. But I was driving down the road on the way back from Kentucky Lake. And I said I passed an old school bass boat, but it had the numbers on the wheel wells. And the only way you can get numbers on the wheel wells is if you catch them enough in tournaments to get to a tournament where they put your boats in numbers because you're getting free gas. Basically is what that comes from. So they go down the line and they're like boat number 23, boat number 24, boat number 25. And then my phone rings and it's an Arkansas number. And I said, I wonder if it's that old school Chris Johnson dude from Arkansas who I just passed. And sure enough, it was. And then we chatted for 45 minutes. And then I said, dude, I got to get you on BTL. So here he is, Chris Johnson from Arkansas. What's up, man?
Oh, just living the life, man. Having a great time. So super thrilled to be on this show. I'm really excited. I've been nervous since I talked to you the other day.
No need to be nervous to be on BTL. Trust me.
Oh, well, no, this is the pinnacle of podcasts when it comes to bass fishing. So I feel like I've made it to the classic or something here a little bit. So if I stutter around a little bit, I'm just nervous.
Yeah, look at the wall behind you. You got no reason to be nervous. I mean, that's just about every trophy you can win across Arkansas and outside. I think you got some Louisiana stuff. You got a bunch of stuff, some Oklahoma stuff back there. But no, I appreciate it. Like I said, you've started to go down a couple roads of stories, and I'm like, whoa, save it for the show, because we've had some wild stuff happen. But you were shaking your head there, like, can you get more old school than Harold Allen?
No, you cannot. You cannot. He is the boss when it comes to old school. Now, there's no doubt. One of the coolest dudes of all time, in my opinion, man.
Yeah. One of the stories I remember that he would always say is he would say, Matthew, we've been fishing a shaky head for 50 years. He goes, we just called it a worm. Yeah. That just a straight worm on a 3/16 ounce lead weight. He goes, it's the same thing as a shaky head. He goes, we just called it a worm.
Exactly. Yeah, there's so much of this stuff like that. My dad would have been the same way. Like, they just put a worm on a jig head. We did that forever ago. You know, we gave up on that. You know.
Yeah. I showed this yesterday. Have you ever seen that one? The flipping the bird. That's kind of old. That's like old, or the newest old school, isn't it? Remember when that thing came out?
Yeah, that was some of that. Everybody's grasping for something that's going to push everything over the edge. You know.
Yeah.
That's probably what, late 90s, mid 90s, somewhere in there.
I believe so. It's enough to have a little bit of a patina, I believe is the word, on the cardboard on it. But it was kind of like when the dog that chases the car and then they don't know what to do and you catch it when they come out with all these crazy lures, and then it feels like over the last couple years the dog caught the car and now we're not sure what to do.
Yes. I've got some stuff in I collect all kinds of stuff, and I was digging through on these, and they made these old plastic spinnerbait skirts back in the old days, have all these legs off of there, and I was like, man, that's just a 1970s koiki right there. And we just didn't know, just didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Remember the, what's that? It's not a centipede, but it was like one of the old school plastic companies made it. It's like kind of like the shape of the centipede, but it's got like 100 legs sticking off of the side on it.
Twister centipede's what it was.
Is that what it was?
Yes. I probably got some in there somewhere. It's about yay long. It's got a million little legs off the side and two little forked legs. They'd make them in, purple firetail and all kinds of weird stuff.
And guys would Carolina rig it.
Yep.
It's a koiki. It's a flat koiki.
That's it. It's really interesting how all this stuff it mills around and goes away, and then here we are right in the big middle of it. I've even catching myself digging through some old stuff going, I need to find whatever's the next thing coming here, because somebody already made it.
Yeah, definitely. I've got these, I put these back here. I had those sitting on my studio. Like I had the full cast sitting here. I only have the 13s now because, I lost both of them. I've got one full cast left, but I had them sitting there for 2 years as a studio decoration.
Wow.
And no one said a single thing about. You can go back and look at old BTLs, like go back a year ago, go back a year and a half ago. You will see those blue boxes sitting there with full cast Koikis in them. And no one said a single thing about it. And then it was like overnight, it was just like, boom.
There it is, just like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. Me and my brother, I'm going to get telling stories. You'll tell me to shut up.
That's the whole point of the show, Chris. It's called BTL. It's a podcast. We tell stories on the show. That's literally what the show is about.
My brother worked at Southtown Sporting Goods there in Springdale when he was going to college, and this is, we worm fished back in the day, and so a Zoom rep came in there one day and handed him a package of. This was when before a brush hog even hit the market, and handed him a package of Junebug, the big size brush hog, and said, "Here, man, you ought to go try these out." And he brought those home, and me and him and my dad, we stood there and looked at those things and said, "Why in the world would anybody fish with this thing?" Threw it up on top of a shelf, went back to throwing our 6 and 8 inch purple and black plastic worms, until one day somebody went, "Man, you ought to throw one of the brush hogs." And then it was just everywhere. And we're like, what kind of idiots are we? We sat right there and looked at it for 2 years before it really hit. It's like we had one sitting right there, and we just like
it's wild like that. Like I remember, so the first time before I'd seen that was I remember I got a pack of bacon rinds.
Yeah,
but I didn't really have a hook that I could like fish the bacon rind with effectively. So I was basically just like shaking fish off in the back of the boat of the Assumption Bass Club with the bacon rinds. Because it went like that bacon rind brush hog craze went around there. Were you in the part of the country when the now I'm thinking about soft plastics crazes, not so much like the hard baits, like the chatterbaits and the ploppers and all that. The very first soft plastic craze that I remember hearing about was the Sluggo. Guys talk about how when that came out that it was like, we got to get our hands on these Sluggos and no one could find them and stuff. But that was like the generation before me.
Yep. I was tournament fishing during that time when all that was happening. It was crazy. That same thing, the Sluggo was crazy. Unfortunately, like we were so ingrained in our way of fishing, we were really slow to get on board on anything. So truthfully, we always had we'd finally wait to the point that we got beat with it so bad that we'd finally go, we better get some of those, Yeah. And, but yeah.
So at the time, was no one just throwing us weightless soft plastic? Was that the thing? Everybody was putting the bullet weight on it and flipping it around cover, and no one was just casting weightless plastics. That was like a foreign concept.
Yes, it was completely out there. Even fishing I think I started fishing a floating worm the first ever in my life on the lakes. Tournament fishing was in maybe 95, 94. It just wasn't, I know it was a thing, but it just wasn't that big a thing, to put a worm with no weight and go twitch it around. And then you got Sluggo and the fluke. Mm-hmm. Those were all new concepts that were totally they were completely new dynamic happening in the fishing world at those times.
It's interesting how we think we have it all figured out, and then something comes along that completely just bait wise, even, and we haven't talked about technology, but just bait wise completely makes you go, how have we not thought about this before? And it's usually something so simple.
Very simple. I recall I had a little pond behind my house as a kid growing up, and I dreamed up all kinds of weird stuff. And I'd go up there and catch these bass on it. And then here I am today sitting there going, I was rigging up some weird crap like that. See if I'm like, these are just pests. They'll bite anything. So I can chuck anything in there and bite it. Well, just didn't realize that chopping up a worm and hanging it all over a hook weird, making the legs go all kinds of weird directions.
Yeah.
That, was onto something,
Now the first soft plastic craze that I was a part of, I remember I was with my buddy Darren Gates, and we were in Southern Illinois. I think we were either fishing Carlisle or Rend or something, but we went into a sporting goods store, and it was the first time that I had seen the scantily clad woman on the black packaging, and it was a genuine pack of Reaction Innovation Sweet Beavers.
Yep.
And I remember we bought every single one that they had there because we had read about it, we had seen it, but I mean, there was nothing out like Andre's Sweet Beaver at the time of that Reaction Innovations. They never went into the big box stores. That was a craze.
It was a craze.
Did you get into that? I feel like you'd be a guy who was on the cutting edge of the flipping baits, the beaver style baits.
Yes. Yeah. I by that point, I was probably in my 30s, I'd say, at least then. We actually owned a tackle store in Rogers for a while. And when that first came out, we were friends with Andre. And so we were a huge dealer early on, like in the early days. And so, yes. Yeah, it was all over that thing.
So did you have like Sweet Beaver Proto? We're probably going to get demonetized because I keep saying Sweet Beaver. But did you have like prototypes of that bait before it was like on the market? Like, oh, okay.
No. I just got to know, we kind of got to know him coming to FLW to Beaver.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of on the front side of that. And so we was able to become a dealer. And I fished with him a few times out on Beaver prior to some FLWs and stuff.
Wild dude, man. Like I went to the facility where they like made them, stored them, whatever one time. And I was like, I don't know how they ship a single thing out of here. Like it was chaos. It was like his office was all saltwater stuff. And then it was just like a warehouse of just random tubs of plastic everywhere.
Yes. That's another thing. Nowadays producers, they're a little more, everything's really great, but man, them old school plastic makers and stuff, it was chaos. Every one of them I was ever in was absolutely, you're looking around going, how do they even know what's what around here? And there's just packages of lures everywhere and just a disaster, but they're raking it in, selling lures like wild, so it's a little different nowadays. It seems a little more kind of, more business-like than what you used to see.
Yeah. I never got into the man bear pig. I tried it a little bit, but I was always a baby brush hog guy.
Yeah.
Especially in Illinois, just trying to get bites.
Yeah. We were always kind of brush hog people for the most part back in the
once he took them off of the shelf.
Yep.
All right. So there's a lot of people. I guess you're a little bit of like a Robin Hood cult figure amongst the tournament fishing community. I'm not guessing. I mean, you are, because there's a lot of people that relate to you. You've had great success on the tournament trail. You're old school, but then you also have a very vibrant and active YouTube channel where you talk about a lot of different things. So a little bit of a juxtaposition there, but you're also still competing, heavily involved, and having success and trying to step it up with a 1985 Ranger and no forward-facing sonar electronics and doing what love, and how to do for the past decades. Fair representation of yourself?
Yes, I would say that. Yeah, that's very close of just embracing, who I am and what I love to do, and not hating on either side, and creating a wonderful. To me, I just want to create an environment that creates a love for fishing the way I grew up doing it. And also, my wife's been involved in youth fishing for 10, 11 years through the state. And I know so many people that, they talk about, the cost of fishing is so expensive and this, that, and another, but it's also relative. It's as expensive as you make it. And you don't have to have everything to be a competitor. And I kind of set out on a journey here to do that, is say, I can be a legitimate competitor. I can hold my ground. I can fish and do it all with exactly what I learned to fish with, doing exactly what I know how to do, and embracing that completely, and not go broke in the meantime too. So
history wise, regional angler, basically local regional angler, basically until like what, 2020, would you say?
Yeah, I'd always fished, regionally I fished red man all my early 28 years, trying to make that All-American, got really close a few times. Then, had family and kids. Me and my dad fished together a lot, so we kind of stayed more local for a number of years. He's talking about Harrod Allen. My dad had got cancer, and so through those years, I really laid off the traveling, and me and him fished every moment we could together. The the last time we ever fished was in a big tournament on Beaver Lake, and just super special times during about a 6 or 8 year period there that I didn't really travel much or do anything like that.
You guys run up the river?
Huh? No.
You guys run up? Oh, no.
No. And that's the interesting thing about my plight here is I grew up as a struck. My dad him and a local guy named Hewlin Nations were team partners here as a kid growing up, and they were absolute structure fishing gurus.
Really?
That's all my early years of fishing was strictly out with a paper graph, triangulating brush piles, deep ledges, deep suspended trees like you see in these Ozark lakes, sitting out in 80, 90 feet of water, going, this is the cast. There's a 100-foot tree right there. It's 20 feet down. We got to get a red worm in the top of that, and you'll catch them. That is how I grew up fishing, looking at Google maps. So my dad despised shallow water fishing. He loathed the guy that picked up a flipping stick and went in the river. He, to be honest, my dad was that guy, the opposite of what you see today. He was like, man, anybody can pick up a spinnerbait and throw it in a bush. I mean, we're doing something. This takes effort and work to do what we do. Yeah. And so that's how I learned to fish. But truthfully, once I began to get my own boat and stuff, I'm like, I want to go up the river and flip a jig. It's what I want to do. And so that progression started. But truthfully, learning how to structure fish and deep fish really made my shallow water fishing better. It was a nice opposite progression. No, we did not run up the river ever. We went to the clear end of the lake. We spent a lot of time in the clearest water, the deepest water, fishing jigs and worms deep. So,
all right. So sorry, I got you a little bit off track there. That's like I said, that's the other thing we do on the show. So you fished that, and then what led you to a little bit of MLF stuff or FLW stuff, but then what led you to? I mean, I guess you jumped on the national scene, which is awesome because, like, I'll be honest, I can't name a lot of guys who have done well in Bass Nation regionals, but you went kind of nuclear, like viral, I guess, just for how you did it. You jumped in what, 2021? This is where it gets interesting because I talk about this tournament at least once a month on the show. No one has ever been able, Chris, I'm so glad you're on the show. No one has ever been able to back me up on how brutal the 2021 TNT Fireworks Bass Nation Central Regional on the juggernaut of Milford Lake in Junction City, Kansas was. Please back me up on this one. Have you ever been now granted, you finished third in that event with a 3-day total weight of 19 pounds. Yeah. Have you ever been to a fishery that is as tough as Milford with the conditions that we had in that event?
No, that was quite the event there, man. You sure have to get there and your boat's full of snow the first day, and really just a lake that was, I enjoyed the tournament because I like tough tournaments, but no, that one was a grinder. The entire pre-fish, I had one bite, the entire pre-fish, and I was basing everything I had in that tournament over one bite that I got. The first day, like in the first 2 hours of fishing, and I never had another bite the rest of the pre-fish. I'd never seen the lake before, and truth of the matter is that first morning when I caught that 7-pounder, I looked at my coin jar and I said, I've already caught more than I thought I could catch in all 2 days, and so that was quite the tournament, man. I ended up really liking that lake when it was said and done. But my goodness, and the waves that first day were just unbelievable. I mean, it was crazy. So
I ended up finishing 15th, I believe, in that tournament with I had 4 the first day, 0'd the second day, and caught 1 on the third day. Wow. It's still top 20 day. That was
it was a grinder. That last day, I 0'd the last day. I just used up everything I had.
Well, you didn't use up everything you had. That's just how many fish were in the lake. They'd all been caught by then. I've never seen a tournament. Did you ever go down by the dam during the tournament?
I went down there one time, not during the tournament, just during the pre-fish, and was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing this."
I have never in my life seen, and there are only 80 boats in this tournament, so they were 3 layers deep.
Yeah.
So there was a group of boats that were going down the dam on the bank. Then there was another line of boats about 50 yards off the bank, and then there was another line of boats out, and there were about 30 boats, and I've never seen a tournament where they're fishing 3 deep on a horizontal piece of structure.
That was crazy. Yeah, the one day I went down there, I thought I better go check that out. Just, any research you done, that's where all the fish were at. But real quick, I was like, yeah, I can't do this, And I stayed up in the lake. Unfortunately, really, that's the last day when I went to where I'd caught what fish I had, there were just boats all over it. I think they were starting to leave that dam, and they were all over all the water I was trying to fish, and I was scrambling trying to find something, So,
yeah. So that tournament's important because that qualified you for the Bass Nation Championship.
Yes.
Which was, I would imagine, Washita in 2021. Like, you had to feel pretty good going to that because that's about as grimy as you can get.
Yes. Yeah. I was looking forward to that. I had fished Felsenthal. I never fished at Monroe, but I'd fished it up on the upper end on the Washita River quite a bit. So I was really excited about that event. And that event was like the truth of the matter is I was kind of, I think I was 49 then. I was starting to kind of wane a little bit on whether I ought to continue to pursue high level bass fishing. And I'd gotten away from the nation for a few years. I'd actually qualified for some regional championships years prior, but I thought, and then qualifying for that tournament really, and then getting to the Washita River, I really put a lot of effort into that tournament, pre-fishing and checking that place out, and then getting there and just barely missing the Classic. I ended up placing 4th there, and then, they take the top 3. It absolutely, going to that event, it really reinvigorated my desire and my dreams of fishing at the top level. It just lit me on fire. Getting that close, I had so much fun. It really, I was like, I got to just start working harder at this and embrace what I do. And that was the turning point of like, let's go,
So that was, they take the top 3 to the Classic. So that was Matty Wong's year. So that's how everybody got introduced to Matty Wong, first angler from Hawaii to make it on the Elite Series. He's brought a lot of joy into people's lives.
Yep.
To Taylor Smith finished 2nd, 3rd place. Good buddy, lives in Norman, Oklahoma, 15 minutes from my house. Pick morels with them, fish the Wednesday nighter on that. I remember that tournament. Jared Miller is the one who edged you out on that, former Elite Series guy who came back. And I think he qualified through Kansas because they had a 2-day qualifier on Grand. So we were actually fishing that regional from opposite states. Then he caught him decent on Milford, and then got you by like exactly a pound to go to the Classic, which I was looking at that and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that was Miller's Classic. And that Classic would have been on Hartwell. Yep.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting. Actually, Smith is the one that it was me and Maddie and, you just said it, that Miller were really hanging in the top 3 all week. Mm-hmm. And the Smith was sitting in 16th the last day, and he came from 16th with a really big bag and moved up into the top 3. Jared was like, man, I'm really sorry. I'm like, it is just fishing, but it is what it is. Truth of the matter is it was a life-changing event.
In a good way, even though at the time it was soul-crushing.
Yes. Driving home, you're like, holy cow. But a lot of realities come from that event, that I began to change some perspective too about how to pursue this sport, because if you know anything about the money of the sport back then, if you were to win the event and go to the Classic and get a chance to fish the Elite Series, you got to come up with some money, and you have about 40 days to figure that all out. You don't have time to go, hey, I'm going to Florida in 3 months. I just qualified for the Elite Series as a kind of an average angler. And now and for me, it was like a real eye-opening event to go, what if I had won? I don't have the ability to get home and get this pulled together. So at that point, I really began to start working on, if you're going to pursue this route, you need to start understanding how to be financially ready, how to, how are you going to embrace that when you do get your chance someday, if that ever happens. So it's kind of interesting to me, but it really brought a lot of things to accumulation that's brought me to fishing these opens again and things like that. So,
and then that was the catalyst where you said, I'm going to jump back in the opens. I would imagine, just from what I know about you, you looked at that following division of the Bassmaster Opens that went to Ross Barnett,
yep,
the Red River, and
yep.
Sam Rayburn, and went, that's the division for me.
Yep. I was like, yes, and jumped right in. Truthfully, I kind of let myself get a little starstruck on that, I guess. Fishing, it's always been my dream to fish those kind of events, and had a great event at the Red River, but Ross Barnett and Sam Rayburn, I just over pre-fished, tried too hard, made it too complicated, lost fish, weighed in late. The only time I've ever weighed in late my whole life with Sam Rayburn. Just did a bunch of bonehead stuff, kind of. So I should have had a good year, but I just kind of let my nerves and the excitement of getting to do it get to me a little bit. But again, a great learning lesson, a great kind of, hey, I'm feeling my way around this and how to go forward. So, I'll take it as a win,
And then I guess kind of where you were really thrust into the spotlight then was in 24. So here's the deal, if you don't understand how this Bass Nation, it's like a 1.5-year process basically to do it. By the time you qualify, you do the regional, then based on when your regional is, then you have to wait for the next year. So in 23, you do it on the Arkansas, and then you win. This is the vest, the old school boat. The story comes out. You're in Bassmaster. You've got the plaques. You've got the tan vest on, and you win on the Arkansas River. The regional, which was what, $13,000 that you had out of it. But that was kind of when everybody was like, the live scope is really a hot topic, a real hot button. That was the year that Bassmaster kind of said, free for all, let's just see how it plays out. You had the NPFL that was just announcing or talking about announcing going completely, that was like a real hornet's nest of, people calling other people bad humans because of how they caught a fish, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Crazy,
but that was when you won. And on that, and then did you know, was your phone ringing off the hook after that?
It kind of did. Surprisingly, that event was super special, and it actually did really good in a regional prior to that. I don't know, did you fish the one the year before through Oklahoma? Were you there?
I did not.
Okay. So I was there and just barely missed making it again there, came in second on the Kansas team. So I got really close again, came back the year later, actually kind of played off what I hadn't fished that river in a year since that tournament before. And I had a lot of work, so I just kind of showed and went to this. I thought, I'm going to play off what I did last year and fish this event, and ended up winning. But, yes, the phone, truthfully, I'm thinking, I like, I know how this goes. The phone doesn't start ringing with stuff when you win a tournament, and but really immediately the next day I'm driving to boat captain and help Lucy with a high school tournament the next day, and just tons of phone calls, not necessarily for sponsors or anything, but just people from all over the country, and text messages and Facebook that was just blowing up. It was wild. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was, at Tackle Warehouse sharing the page and talking about it and comments. It was unbelievable. I was like, wow. I'm thinking, hey, I won a tournament. I'm going home. We'll go home. And it really turned into something special, and really opened my eyes to the way I do things, and continuing to embrace it the way I do, and that I had something special,
Okay. So was there some marketing strategy in the vest, or is this when you are fishing at Arkansas Hog Hunters, is this thing hanging up and you grab it, and before you bring them up to the basket, you throw the vest on? Is this your legit tournament jersey?
Yes. Yep, that's it. So my wife makes horrible fun of me. I had one years ago, and then got away from it and kind of went through the jersey thing that everybody does for a while. But when I kind of got after the classic or after the regional there at the Washita River or the Nationals, I was like, to be honest, I was like, I want to create my own. I want to just be who I am. And who I am is I'm 1986. Now, I live in the present, but I want to represent the era I came from. And so I'm telling my wife, I'm like, I'm building me a vest. And she's like, that's the corniest thing in the whole world. And I'm like, yeah, but it separates me from everybody because I said I can wear this vest and go, this is really who I am, as corny as it might be. And so that vest I created for the first season I fished the Opens in right after Washita River. Then I used it from there on. This year I have a new one that's got all my new sponsors on it. So no, it is. I wear it at tournaments. I wore it the last day at the Arkansas River for photos and things like that. So it's a real deal. Everybody on there is someone that is a true sponsor that supports me and helps me. Same way with the one I have this year. Every one of those are real. It's the real deal.
And that is your actual tackle box. Like you have Plano 3600s like in the boat too?
Yes, I do have some of those. I have hooks and stuff in. I have about 6 or 7 of those that are in a storage box. And then I actually have about 6 of these, but I have 2 of those that I carry in my boat all the time that I carry all my hard baits in, like crankbaits, top waters. And they sit right in front of my console all the time. Actually, Andy Crawford was taking a photo of them at Kentucky Lake, and I got out of the truck, and he was standing there, and he's like, I should have known that was you, man. I should have known. So,
what is a spider? I noticed that when I zoomed in on it. You have split shots, spiders, and spoons in one of the compartments.
Yeah, so that's a box I bought from an old gentleman online.
Okay.
They make 2 or 3 different versions of that box, and that one is what's called a 7777, and it has 7 drawers over, I think 6 drawers or 5 drawers on the others that I have. And so when I bought it, it had all that on there, and I looked at it and I thought, you know what?
Looks cool.
Let's leave that on there. Let's just leave that on there. So
looks very cool. The other thing that we're talking about here is all of this is out of the same boat that you're still currently running in this year's Opens, where ironically, also in research, I discovered you are 1 point ahead of me in the EQ standings heading into the Mississippi River.
Yeah, we're like right there, man.
I would venture to say we have reached the same point drastically different ways, Chris. But
absolutely.
But here we are, and this is where things get wild. So you win this, you fish some Opens. This year you're in good shape to make the EQs. I talked to you after Kentucky Lake, and it's all out of the same rig that you've been running for how long?
I've had this boat probably about 11 years now. So I didn't buy this boat originally. This boat originally belonged to my dad's team partner, Hewlin. He was on the Ranger Pro staff back when I was a kid. And so this was his last new boat he bought. It's an 86 model. So he bought it new in 1986. It was the last team boat he bought from Ranger. And him and my dad fished out of it all the time. And so when my dad, I'm 15 years old at the time. When my dad couldn't go with him sometimes to pre-fish, I would get to go. And so I saw that boat. It was brand new. It'd never been on the water. He brought it to my dad's house to show it to him. And so I got to spend a lot of time in this boat, around this boat, all my young life. Actually borrowed it a couple of times when I had some other boat problems in my 20s. And so it was almost like I owned this boat my whole life. And after he passed away, his kids called Lucy up and was like, hey, I know that Chris would have more sentimental value with this boat than we ever would. And we're getting ready to sell it. If y'all would like to have it, it's yours. And so we was able to buy it. And it was just kind of like a special thing. It was like a boat I'd had all my life, but finally now it's really mine. And so once that happened, man, I just embraced that thing. And just have took off fishing out of it. It's been really cool.
So setup wise, from what was the original 85 Ranger? What model is it?
It's a 390B, so the 19-footer.
19-footer. Motor on it is a...
I had a 200 on it, but it went down on me. I've got a 1998 150 Mariner carbureted engine on there.
Oh, I love the smell of that carbureted. That's it's the one main thing that I miss about the Bassmaster Open takeoffs.
Yep.
Is you don't, it probably can't be good for you, but that early morning, A, the smell, and B, the guys trying to get them started for the first time. Because once a carbureted starts, you look at it wrong. You're golden for like however it is the day. But that original start where, you've got the guys pumping it 3 times, turning the key 3 halfways, shifting, wiggling the shifter. And then I miss the sound of those guys trying to get the carbureted started. And that smell smell is burned into my brain it couldn't be foggy at all. And that whole ramp area would just be just a blanket of just a blanket of none of the guys who have gotten into it over the last 10 years have any idea what we're talking about on that.
No, they don't have a clue. They wouldn't know what it's like to back down the ramp and there's 30 trucks waiting on you and the thing won't start. Finally, you run up there, grab your trolling mower, just trying to get out of the way, and that.
Yeah.
You know. So, but yes.
So what have you, or what did you and have you done to that boat to make it? I mean, you're spending big money in a 1985 boat.
Yep.
And you're $5,000 into these tournaments. And I mean, it's very justifiable to be like, there's no way I could take it. Or is there things that you've done to where you're like, okay, I am dialed in on this thing. It's just as reliable, just as seaworthy as all these 2026 glitter rockets.
Yep. Really only a few simple things. I've got very basic, 2 Lowrances on the console, one for some mapping, one for 2D. Have no side scan, no down scan, no live imaging of any sort. I do have some decent mapping, and I got a couple of HDSO units I've used for a while, and I did buy some newer Lowrance ones, but I haven't used them that much. Actually, I'm back to my old HDS units now, and then I have a 2230 Lowrance flasher on the bow is what I fish with for a depth finder on the bow.
Wait, I didn't know that. You fish your depth finder on the bow is a legit circle flasher.
Just like you see on the wall up here, just like those things.
Yeah.
Yep. I have it's a box flasher, 2230. So it's they got different depth scales on different models.
Is that like to prove a point? Is that by choice? Do you feel like it gives it advantage? Is that something that you're comfortable with? I mean,
it's what I love to fish with. It's how I learned to fish. Everything I've done fishing in my life has been around looking at a flasher, reading a flasher from my very earliest days to really all my life. I've never not had a flasher on the bow of my boat and fished with it. And so I just, I'm like, this is what I like. It's a comfort
thing. You're not trying to prove a point by going, look, I'm fishing with the flasher. It's what you want to fish with.
Yes. That little red light and that hum is one of those things that I'm like, I'm in my place. This is where I belong. I have a Lowrance old school 3001 digital temp gauge up on the dash, just like you would have saw on a 1986 model that tells me water temp. And then I have a standard, just a Minn Kota 4Trex, no spot lock, no nothing. Just plain Jane 36 volt trolling motor. So I've got a better trolling motor than would have came on this boat. Mm-hmm. And then I did a few things. I had a hydraulic jack plate for the way I like to fish. It's super handy. Yep. And then I added another like 1,500 gallon bilge pump and things like that. Things I learned just from my Spirit of Big Wave at Grand one year. And it took me so long to get all the water out. It was terrifying, and I was like, I don't want that to happen. I want to have enough. So I can pump about 2,500 gallons per hour out of my boat if I need to. So little things like that make me feel comfortable. And so just stuff like that. That's all I've got. I don't have anything else technical wise. Trying to think. That's it. It's pretty plain.
So when you get to the ramp, you turn your power on.
Yep.
But that's your only step. You hit a graph and turn one graph on.
Yeah, I don't even have to turn my power on. I hit the button and it's ready to roll.
You hit one button, you're ready to launch, and you're ready to fish. Like there's no trolling motor, multiple graphs, breakers, all that stuff. It's just you get there, and once the boat's in the water, you're in fishing mode.
Pretty well. Let's go. More or less. Push a button on the console to turn my mapping on, turn my knob on my flasher, flip the switch to my temp gauge, and we're rolling. That's it. And
like I said, all by choice.
All by choice. All because it's what makes me comfortable. 100%. Not there's no ego here. There's no this is as I was coming through those nationals and stuff, it was like I want to enjoy fishing. I want it to be what I want it to be.
Yeah.
And this is what makes me the happiest. Looking at that flasher, fishing out of this old boat. I ain't trying to prove anything. This is just me loving what I love. And I love this, like the whole thing is strictly, I want to be what I dreamed about and what I love doing. And I just embraced it wholeheartedly. So
I would not 10 years ago, I would not have been able to relate to what you just said. I'm 41 now. I got married in the last year, like beyond grateful to have a Bass Cat in the garage rigged by the Bass tank with the electronics. I mean, I spend a lot of time on the phone with Scott talking about what I need to do next, what we're doing for the 26th season, what's coming out, how that's working in it. But the perspective of enjoying the process, and it's different for everybody's level is different. And when it comes down to it, I think there's a lot of guys that are out there. I know there's a lot of guys. I could call up 10 guys right now that do not enjoy the process, and it is a stressful week for them. And they don't. And I'm like, well, you're not there to enjoy it. You're paying it. It's a competition. Your goal is to finish first. Screw everything. But as I get older and as I have some perspective, I'm like, no, the joy, like I'm sure winning an open would be another level of joy, but the joy is in the process of doing it your way, making your decisions, and what you're learning about yourself as a person and the sacrifice that your family's going through to allow you to do this and to do it. Like that, I think, is where the nut is. Like that's where the important thing is. It's not the little number next to your name. It's all of those things that allowed you to even be there and what you're getting out of it, and everybody gets something differently out of it.
100%. You're nailing it for me right there. 100% is I spent a lot of years in my 30s fighting tournament fishing to the point that I was miserable. My family was miserable. It was horrible. I worked so hard at it. I tried so hard. I was like, why can I not do good? Because I'm trying so hard. I've got better equipment. I'm doing all these things. It's not working. And I love the sport. I absolutely love it. I've lived it my entire life and dreamed about it. And I was like, look, I'm 56 this year. I'm like, look, man, you don't have many more years to be just hating on this sport or being frustrated with it. And so for me, just being at the event is a win. The opportunity to pay my entry fee is where I want to be. And so exactly what you're talking about is finding that enjoyment, finding your own place. For me, this whole, I get tired of this term kind of old school because I live in the now.
Great. I put that as the thumbnail. I'll go back and change it.
No, it's okay, but it's kind of become a cliche a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at it and go, everybody's like, and I give the new guys credit for their process because it's just like my process. I go through a process to catch fish in the tournament, and I also know that I've been fortunate enough to win a few events and do really well. the problem is that if you're only basing your happiness off a win every now and then, the rest of the time you're going to be unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And because wins are fleeting, the only way you can maintain it is keep winning. And I know I can't do that. So I'm just thrilled to be doing what I'm doing and to get the opportunity to, it's like this year. And I've had a rally of people around me all of a sudden that through my YouTube and some sponsors that they're seeing more than I even see as far as ability and to able to do some things. I had one sponsor, he sees so much more in me than I can. He's like, I'm going to do X and then I'm going to pay for the EQs when you qualify. And I was like, well, I'm not even trying. I wasn't even worried about qualifying the EQs. He's like, well, you need to start worrying about that stuff and do it because I'm paying for it. And I'm like, holy cow. So things like that. And I'm not bragging. I'm just going, I've seen some things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just want to give people hope in the sport because there's getting to be not much in it, seems like, that, hey, you can do this. It's still fun. It's going to these opens. People just, I don't, you hear everything on the tube here, but the reality is I'm meeting new people every day. I sit and with Fisher Anaya and 2 or 3 other youngsters this week at Kentucky Lake last week. And we talk and there's not this let's kill each other thing going on. It was
not at all.
That makes sense. And
yeah, 100%. You know, like that gets views. That gets views from that. That's what gets the views is the divisiveness, the conflict. In real life, I can't think of a time at a boat ramp where there was actually a young dude who's either like, screw you, or a guy who's anti, who's like, you cheater. Like, everyone gets along and talks and has a good time. Like, it is that vibe in person when you're there. Like, there is mutual respect from what I've seen.
Absolutely. From all levels. I have not experienced anything bad at the level of tournaments I'm fishing at.
Okay, let me ask you this. And we're going to get, I don't know where this is going to go, but this is something that I kind of am thinking about and struggling with. So I'll just use it from my perspective and I'll relate it. Like, do you ever feel this? So split schedule this year, but I mean, you've primarily fished where you can use whatever you want. I mean, like, we're going to the Mississippi River, no scope, but like we go, let's use like go up north, for example. I've had some instances and I've never had 360 on my boat or any of that stuff, but I also have been in boats with it to the point where I now am like, oh, I am at a really big disadvantage if I'm fishing a lake like Oneida Lake that has rock piles and grass clumps and things like that, because I'm not able to see that on the 360 and therefore I'm not as efficient and I'm trying to catch the same fish. But the guys who have the 360 and the forward, now they can see where the clumps are, so they're going to be more efficient. So now I feel like I'm at a disadvantage out there and it's going to be way more difficult for me to compete. So I need to upgrade my stuff to make sure I've got that 360. Or you get in the boat with someone who has their transducer that's mounted with a little bit different bracket and you're like, my God, that's a little bit clearer image. I can see with, like, I feel like if and it's also my job to keep up to that, and I have the sponsors for it, so I'm not complaining at all, but I'm talking from a personal competitive standpoint, and you can turn into a therapist here a little bit. Is that maybe a lack of confidence in myself, or do you ever struggle with it, like going to Kentucky Lake knowing that there's going to be an early ledge bite? It's a live scope event. The last 6 tournaments that have been held there between the spawn and now are one live scoping a minnow on stumps, and we've got this koiki craze going where apparently every fish within 50 feet can't help but eat it because it's like freaking crack for them. And you're in the 1985 with the flasher up front. Is there anything in your head that goes like, okay, I'm starting at a disadvantage? Or is that just you're so comfortable with what you're doing, you're just like, I don't give a damn what anybody else is doing. I'm here to live my life and fish my tournament and let the chips fall where they may and have at it. I hope you catch smallmouth on every freaking stump you find.
You nailed it on the last statement.
Okay.
I do not care. I don't, and that's the biggest tragedy, in my opinion, going on fishing today is 50% of the great anglers I know are in that trap you're talking about. They're looking out there. They're going, I can't compete. if I don't have this, and I can't compete if I don't have that. They're going to be doing that, and they're going to be doing that. Where I look at it totally different. I never even it. Of course, I'm aware that there's going to be a ledge bite. Of course, I'm aware that there's going to be a minnow bite. Fisher and them all talking about all the bass they're catching off stumps and how they've spent
He's catching like 90 a day.
Yes. Like he's like, dude, it's just crazy. Catch one after another on minnow, and I've got 333 stumps found, and but I go to that event going, I know what is going to happen. I know what the things are going to be, but I also look at it and go, I also know that there is going to be a bite in my wheelhouse somewhere on that lake or Barkley Lake, and I just need to find it. And the way I look at it is, and I think anybody, even with the new tech, could look at it this way, is I want to be a specialist in my field, which is 2 or 3 different techniques, very shallow water for the most part, or some type of power technique, like they're on spinnerbait on docks. But I spend every moment, like at Kentucky Lake, I spent daylight till dark looking for my fish and only my fish. I never once looked out there and went, I wonder if they're catching them. I mean, they're catching them out there. I know they're catching them out there. Never. I'm like, in the first 2 days, I didn't catch crap. I mean, literally going, come on, man, we got to keep chipping away at this and I did the same thing at Sam Rayburn, is I dedicate every moment of my time to finding my fish. And so far, every time, once I find those, I know I'm around the caliber of fish to do well in a tournament. If I ever get 2 days lined up together, I'm going to make a cut because I'm having one big day and one mediocre day. And I think I've dialed in why I'm doing that, how that's happening. But what's happening, what I see a lot of guys is, I saw them at Kentucky Lake. I see them here at home. They're here at the house talking. They're half on tech. And it'd be like me if I had technology on my boat, I spend half the tournament going, when I first go to my shallow spot and I don't get a bite, oh my God, I got to go out in the middle. Well, now I'm out in the middle and I can't get a bite. I'm just going to go back to the bank. And you can't win tournaments being indecisive. You've got to decide what you're going to do. And what we've seen and this is just is during the early years, we saw a trend of specialists that came along and win tournaments. The Denny Browers, the Rick Cluns, they were specialists. And when their day happened, they just chiseled through the middle tournaments, but they were waiting on their tournament. And they focused all their energy in finding those events. That's what I do. What happened was when the technology came out, now we have a new era of specialists they're specialists in the technology, they're specialists in those techniques, and they're dominating. But what happened is we no longer have specialists in the old techniques. Those guys are split between 2 things, and they're not committing to their craft anymore. And I think that's why you see that they're standing around going, I can't win at that anymore. I can't do any more of that. And I'm going, yeah, you can. You don't commit to it anymore. And so if that makes sense, that's how I look at all that.
Conviction. Yeah. Conviction is the word that whole, what you were talking about, is you have to have true conviction inside to say, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do.
Yes, and I'm not afraid. This is who I am. I'm not conviction, as you said. I'm not ashamed to lose being who I am. Hey, if I go and zero doing what I love to do every moment, I gave it everything I knew how to do, exactly how I know how to fish. And the chip, hey, I can drive home going, I did everything I could. I was true to myself. I was true to how I learned to do this sport. What else is there? But there's nothing worse than driving home going, your buddy calls you up and says, dude, where were you at? The bushes were full of them. All you do is pitch a jig in the middle of any bush, you catch one. Oh, I spent the whole tournament out there shaking a minute. That I barely, you see where I'm going here?
Yeah.
That's when you drive home about ready to go, I'm done with this sport, so I've been there and done that. So I'd say to your answer is, it's okay to take it as far as you want to go. It's also okay to go, I'm Matt Pangarak. This is what I love. This is who I want to be. And this is where I draw the line.
When I caught him, Chris, which I'm having a much better year this year because I'm having the most fun that I've ever been. It's the most stable that I've been in the past, just, outside factors and all this stuff. But when I was pretty close to the Elite Series a couple years and making championships of that. BMR squared, Bridgers Marina Rip Rap and Ramps.
Yep.
And I stuck with a handful of baits, and I went around and I went back and did that at Kentucky Lake. I've gotten a lot of crap. I've gotten quite a few people who thought it was bad that I didn't have a great like area to kind of start in. And my buddy Kevin Ledoux was like, well, I got 2. You can start on this one if you want to. You're welcome to have it. I know where you are in the point. So I started on it and I caught a couple fish off of it. And I got some weird backlash off of that from guys who were like, oh, you start on your own fish. Damn it. Like, you shouldn't be asking for help. Dude's in the tournament. We're friends. We've been friends forever. It's not like I hid it in my video. I was like, hey, this is Kevin's spot. I really appreciate that he gave it to me. But then BMR squared, Bridgers Marina Rip Rap and Ramps, after I caught those couple fish. And that's who I am. And I feel like I've gotten away from that the last couple years. And you can bet your ass I'll be back on it on the Mississippi River. But
we'll share.
Yeah. But this is, and we're an hour in, but this is the wildest thing I've ever heard. And you're cool with talking about how far you ran and all that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll talk
you
about
ran to Barkley Lake with like a 3-foot hole in the bottom of your 1985 Ranger for 2 days in a row and knew it.
Yep. It's I didn't know it. This all transpired on my run down the first morning, which I'd committed to running to Barkley. I knew it was an hour boat ride. And I'm running down the lake. I get about halfway down the lake the first morning, and I think I was in the first flight that day, so a little amped up, trying to go, which I don't drive fast or nothing. My old boat, it's another thing is everybody's amped up on, 51 mile an hour as fast as my boat will go. So, I'm still committed to making this run. And all of a sudden the motor shudders and kind of shakes and drops way down. I'm like, what in the world? I thought I done blew my engine up or something. Something's happened. I don't know what. And I stop, I look all around, I pull the cowling off. I'm trying to think, well, maybe I threw a blade off. And I do all this stuff out there floating in the middle of the river. And I can't figure anything out. I sit down, motor starts right back up. And I take off, and I'm like, something's not right. It just won't. I'm not getting the RPMs I was. And I look over there, and I'm fishing marinas. I look over there, and Ken Lake's right over there. And I was like, Chris, maybe y'all just go Ken Lake and just ride this out. And I was like, no, you're committed to doing what you want to do. Let's go. So I just put her back on. It only run about 47 miles an hour then. And just ran all the way to Barkley down there.
Which is how many miles?
I think it's about 65, something like that. Going 40.
That's psychotic.
47 miles an hour, just and get there, catch me some fish. I really fished the day short because, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, and the pre-fish was so tough. I'm thinking, man, I got 12 pounds or so. Yeah. Make sure you get in with these, you
had to fish you probably had what, 2.5, 3 hours to fish total?
Oh, yes. Yes. I got there. It took me an hour and 9 minutes to get there that morning.
Okay.
To my spot. So whatever time that was. I fished till 10:30, and I caught a nice fish at 10:30, and I was like, man, I got what I thought I could catch in this tournament, what I thought would do well from everybody I talked to. And at that point it began, hey, we just need to make sure we weigh these today. Don't lose this tournament today. Even if your motor goes ahead and goes down or something bad happens, you can still get it right in because I'm in the, I'll meet somebody out in the main way. Anyway, trudge all the way back, end up having to burn like 2 hours at the Paris. They didn't have nothing there, but I'm just jacking around. And
they were not biting at the Paris stuff. I mean, there were a couple guys that had a little bit offshore, but like you couldn't just screw around. Like usually you can screw around in Paris and catch a fish or two. Yeah,
you can go in Big Sandy or right around there and catch some. And I caught a few little ones doinking around there, but mainly I get loaded up, go to the room. I literally take my cowling back off, start looking at my prop again. I'm like, what is going on?
So you're still 100% something's up with the motor.
Yes. Yeah. I'm convinced I got a motor problem. And then I'm like, finally I look at everything. I can't find, I thought maybe spark plug wires messed up. I had that happen once. Finally, I just, I'd hit a stump 3 years ago on Sam Rayburn and had a little patch done underneath there, which I didn't think much about it. So finally, like, maybe there's a stick stuck under there. Who knows? I don't know. And I get down on the concrete at the lodge and I look underneath there and I'm like, holy smokes. I mean, It was
Here it is. I'm showing for the iTunes viewers. I mean, that's not like scrape. Like that is a.
No, that's a hole.
That's is that your rod box right there?
No, that's that's where my batteries sit.
Oh,
this is the back. This is my transom right here on the bottom side.
So this is like inches in here. Like this is the hole. Like this is just a gaping hole in the hull.
Yeah. So from where you can see that edge to where that plywood is the top is 4 inches up in there. Yeah, it's a it's a hole. So I was like, wow, but I was like, I'm not taking on any water or nothing. And, Forrest always said you can run these things with chopped all to pieces. So I fueled her back up and next morning put her in. I thought, well, if we got any bad leaks, I'll know before takeoff. And because in the last flight, sat there, wasn't taking on any water or nothing, and booked it all the way 130 miles there and back to Lake Barkley. Second day, caught 19.6 and brought her home.
Were you nervous? Was there any thought of not making the run?
Not the second day, no. No, after I'd made it down there and back and I wasn't taking on any water, I was like, we're going. This fish are down there. I got to go get some of them. So I trusted the boat. I've been in a Ranger in bad water and speared some waves, and I've leveled them off on water to the very top, and they didn't sink. So I knew I wasn't going to sink. And so I trusted, nothing bad was going to happen to me. I might be in a boat full of water, but.
Yeah, and you're by yourself. We don't have, and
I enjoy
you're not putting anyone else in.
Just myself.
There it is right there. So that's it from the back there. So you can see.
Yep.
So that was definitely screwing with the aerodynamics, which is what was making the motor feel heavy, basically.
Yeah, it was keeping from really lifting up. Well, it's just catching water in there. It ate up the foam in there.
But you kind of glossed over the point. You racked 19 pounds on the second day with that hole in your boat. Did you change anything up? Did you learn anything on the first day, or was it just like donkey, let's go weigh him in?
I knew I had some good fish there, and I caught them so quick the first day.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I'd have stayed a little longer if I thought I would have made it in on time.
Oh, you'd have top 10, Chris.
Yes, I could have, because there was I knew there was a good group of fish here, and I had 3 other places to go to, but I'm just going to buckle down here having boat trouble. The second day, I'm like, I got plenty of time. And later in the latter part of the first day, I kind of dialed into the bite a little better. The fish were a little down a little bit. And the last good one I caught the first day was down in the column a little bit further than I was actually reeling the bait the first day. So the second day, I kind of capitalized on that and really sacked them. I mean, you start off with a 4.5 pounder within the first 20 casts, and then just proceeded to catch them the second day, and a big, I actually probably had big bass the second day. I didn't weigh it. I got up in the stage, got the bull crapping with Hank, and it was a 6-pound class fish. I saw a 514 one big bass, but I didn't weigh it. So I had one big one, but really committed that day to really going slow and picking that area apart I had, and caught them. So
okay, where do we stand with the boat? I mean, we leave in 4 days for the Mississippi River.
Yep. So my boat is at Nautilus Marine Repair in Avoca, Arkansas. They're doing the fiberglass work. I've got it de-rigged, and they're going to take care of that. I've got a boat borrowed from my neighbor down the street. It's an older Ranger, like a 1999 model. So it's got an old carbureted Mariner on it, kind of like I got. The cool part about this boat is it actually belonged to my stepdad. So it is beat up, faded, rip seats. It's about like my boat. It was my stepdad's. I spent a lot of hours in it too, and this guy had bought it from him. So I'm going to borrow it. He brought it down here and said, man, put your flasher on there, put your stuff on there, put your trolling motor on there. So I've taken this week, rigged it. It's got my trolling motor on my boat, my flasher on the bow, my HDS Lawrence on the console with my map chip in it, and an old carbureted Mariner. We're going to head to Mississippi River with it. So really going to be right in my same comfort zone. I had 2 or 3 guys offer me. Actually, I've had a huge amount of guys offer me their rig, and it's been very, very kind of so many people. But I would have hated to take somebody's new rig and tear it up. plus like this boat, I carry a spare lower unit, a spare trolling motor, spare props, all the things I need that fit my boat will all interchange with this boat. So it's really going to work out perfect.
It surprises me that a boat company hasn't given you a brand new 18 and a half foot boat, a base model that says, hey, run your flasher on this, run a 9-inch screen for mapping on it, but it's new. There's all sorts of stuff that you just don't have to worry about now in 2026 from the 1985. Don't even have to wrap the thing. We just want to show people and use you as an example that, hey, you can do this, you can love it, you can compete at this level, and you can have success. And you do it your way. And to me, that would be genius marketing for any boat manufacturer. Is that something that you would be open to, or do you like running the old boat? I know you have sentimental value with this one too, but that being said, there has to be some sort of like level of, okay, 1985 versus 2026. There's a bunch of stuff, wires, cables, like stuff that could go wrong with the 85 that would be nice just to have something that wasn't around in the Nixon administration floating around before takeoff.
Yeah, I'm very satisfied with my rig, and as you said, but also as a person that and I'm torn on this sometimes. To be honest, because there are some days that I won't lie, it would be kind of nice to say, man, I wish there was a hull and trailer that maybe was like you're talking about. I could put my flasher on there, could put my four Trex on there. Really do it just like I'm doing, except for have a new hull. And to be honest, as someone that wants to be a pro angler like I've wanted to be all my life, part of being that is part of being a representative for companies. That's part of getting to do this sport, is saying this company supports me and I support them. And I have a huge amount. I have a great bunch of those that support me in this way right now. And that's been another key factor in all this. And sometimes I wonder if kind of stepping to that level of something like that wouldn't just magnify my own confidence that I'm right where I need to be, and that I'm being what people need me to be for them. So yes, I'm torn on that some days, that I would like to advance some, but I also don't want to walk away from the people that love what I do. That makes sense.
Yeah. You were potentially 4 tournaments away from really having to make a decision, because you make the EQs and then you make the Elite Series. Now what are you going to wrap the 85 and send it? That would be so ballsy.
Yes. No, that's what'll happen.
That would be awesome.
It's my goal. My goal is to run that 85 through the Bassmasters Classic or even the Elites at least a year.
And so you have to have a wrap in the Elite Series, but you could also do like a patinaed old school wrap on it, so it still looks old, so it doesn't look like a newer boat. So you could kind of do the workaround on that to where you could do the wrap of the 85 Ranger.
That would be what I'd do. Me and my wife's already talking about. If I ever made it to that point, I'd be like, I want you to wrap this thing, but I want it to look just like it does now. I want the stripes. I want the Ranger Comanche stripes. I want it to look just like it is right now. And we're going to roll with it, because it would be the pinnacle for me to do something like that.
And I would imagine something like that, every single wire, every single noise, every single bump thing, intricacy on that boat at that point that you've been fishing out of off and on since you were 15 years old. Like, there's nothing really that could happen to that boat, the boat wise and stuff, that A, hasn't happened already, and B, that you don't know how to fix other than something completely outside of your control.
Yes. Yeah. There's not anything, truthfully, that boat, I know how shallow I can run on pad. I know how shallow I can draft. I know what I can get over and not get over, whatever that is. I know that it won't sink. Barring just something completely,
out of your control.
Yeah. That I don't survive from. I'm not worried about anything. I keep the tools, luckily I wrenched when I was in my 20s for a number of years. So as I told somebody, that old carbureted engine, I said, if it's got some spark and I can get some fuel, it's going to run. We're going to make it run one way or another, so little things like that I don't look at it and go, I have no idea what to do. I don't have that, So.
What's your time frame like this morning? I think you took off to jump on this. Like, what are we?
No, I'm good. This
You're
whole
good?
week committed to getting ready to go to West.
Are you want to talk? Can we talk about some baits?
Yeah, you talk about whatever you want, man.
All right. So you apparently make the best spinner bait on the market, is what I've been told from several different people who would like to not be named.
Hey, if they say that, great. I'm pretty particular on myself. I'm not going to, I won't sit here and say it's the greatest spinner bait ever. I think it's a good bait. It catches fish, as I tell a lot of people, it may not be the most pristine. It may not be the most beautiful, but they are baits that catch fish. So I appreciate those wonderful comments though.
Are you willing to, do you have one laying around there that you can show somewhere?
Yeah.
If you even have to go get it, we can run a quick commercial break, and then
if you want to, I'll go grab a couple.
Yeah, we'll run a commercial break, and any other baits that you think would be interested in. We'll do a little. And I'm not going to call it old school. We'll do some confidence bait talk with Chris Johnson. It's BTL on a Tuesday. We'll be back.
All right, give me a
We'll
minute.
be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Before there were hashtags, there were handshakes and shared stories. They gave us confidence to make our first cast and chase our dreams. They taught us to fish, and in the process, taught us about life. They taught us that success isn't just about reaching the top. It's about lifting others up. The future isn't just about selling tackle. It's about 3 simple words. Let's go fishing. Here's to the original influencers.
Pro Bass Adventures is reinventing Mexico bass fishing. With boats equipped with 12-inch Garmin units and LiveScope Plus, free loaner fishing rods, and no-cost airport transportation, Pro Bass Adventures is proudly putting you in the best position for success. Pro Bass Adventures has lodges on Lake Baccarat and Lake El Salto, Mexico's 2 best trophy largemouth bass lakes. Visit ProBassAdventures.com or email ProBassAdventures@gmail.com. The official Mexico fishing lodge of Bass Talk Live.
Hey guys, Brian Schmidt here with Spro. I'm going to talk to you about the confidence I have in the equipment I use. I have a charter boat business back home in Maryland. We fish for saltwater fish, and I also fish the Bassmasters Elite Series. So I keep my lights on by fishing. I have to have a lot of confidence in the equipment I use. Spro has me covered from head to toe, saltwater, freshwater, everything in between. A lot of high-end quality product. Spro has you covered.
At Beat Down Outdoors, we know you depend on your gear to hold up in any condition. We built for that. We test for that. In fact, we pride ourselves in that. Because we know when the time comes to test your gear, you aren't going to take it easy, so we won't. We build premium, made in the USA products that you can rely on in the moments when your equipment should be the last thing on your mind.
All right, welcome back. BTL on a Tuesday, talking with Chris Johnson. Yeah, I was looking at your you got some pretty high-tech sponsors, like your G-Crack, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, they make some wild stuff.
Yeah, they were way ahead of some of the stuff we're doing,
Yeah. No, I've just discovered the joys of a free-rigged bellows gill.
Yeah. That bellows stuff. It's turned into.
I was 3 years behind on that.
Yeah. I just learned how to use it last year and was like, you should have learned this a long time ago.
The free rig is, I did not give it as much credit as I should have. I was like, it is not as good as I think. And I think it's as good as the guys who are free riggers think it is. It's pretty good in certain situations. Have you gotten into that?
No. I'm taking a bellows shad or a bellows gill and flipping with it old school. And oh my goodness. And things like, I'm bringing it into my old school world of things. And there I'm using old school. And it really works. It really works, as trailers, flipping bait, stuff like that. But I've got some of the new, that 18-inch worm.
Oh, I've been wanting to get in on that big time. The thing that's shaped like a horseshoe.
Yes.
In the package. I have talked to numerous guys where I'm like, you know what? I think that might work. Really good.
I got them to send me a bunch of those, and I'm going to experiment. I'm not afraid of learning new ways to just like I'm really getting into the spinning rod with the braid and the leader, and learning my way around some of that, because you got to be able to catch fish even in the way I fish. Sometimes you got to finesse them out, and I'm really excited about that. Plus, they got that 6/8 bellows shad that just came out. It's about this long.
Good gizzard shad imitation.
Yeah, it's
he's digging for one.
This thing's going to be, I just got some of these. So
that's large.
Yeah.
That's a straight up gizzard shad. Or who knows what the hell it is, but I think we've quit trying to determine what stuff is supposed to look like in the last 2 years. That is the most irrelevant thing, is whether we think the bait looks good or not.
Exactly. The bass.
Did you grab one of these spinner baits? The spinner bait has made a fantastic comeback over the last couple of years. It never went anywhere. Guys still caught them on it. It just so happened that it had been, in my opinion, a long time, a fair amount of time in between major tournaments where it's set up for a spinner bait, and it was back. We saw what happened at the Bassmaster Open on Grand Lake. We've seen some guys really crack them on national tournaments. But do you have one of these spinner baits that you make you willing to show it, and what?
Yeah, I brought 2 or 3 of them. This one's will be up covered.
Okay, so when you say you make it, what does that mean?
I take the hook, the wire, pour the lead head, paint the eyes, build it, bend it, the whole nine.
Okay, so you start with nothing and end up with a spinner bait. It's not like you're doing nothing wrong with it, but like Jan's Netcraft, where you're buying everything and then just putting blades and a skirt on.
Oh no, I pour the lead heads. I even bend a lot of my own wire. I pour a straight wire so that that way I don't have a lot of different.
Hold that thing up again.
Yep.
Up a little bit. Okay.
So it's got the long hand tied skirt underneath.
Yep. And are you very particular on your gauge of wire in that?
Yes. So all the baits I sell, either the majority of 3/4 have a 37 wire, all the 35s have, or a half, and 3/8 use a 35 gauge wire. So it's pretty light.
Do you have a website?
I do not.
Oh, you just sell them word of mouth and through your social media?
Yes. Yeah. The YouTube's turned into something that I never dreamed of. Oh, my light's so bad. There we go. Yeah, that's one in the package. We have about
Arkansas Custom Tackle. And are they available in bait shops too? Do you have them at some of those?
Yeah. I have 7 stores, a hook, line, and sinker, Southtown, quite a few stores around, a few over in the Mountain Home area. I could expand a lot more, but I have a regular job setting tile every day, and then I do this, build baits.
So you set tile and then Ben makes spinner baits.
Yes, and run around, try to be
and patch holes in 85 Rangers.
Yeah. So that's how they're packaged, and so we do it. And
hold that first one up. That one, is that like a dull pumpkin head on it? That's like a pump. Is that? That's more, or it's orange.
Yeah, it's a bright orange. Wait, man, a light in here is weird.
Dude, that's a
bright orange. I'll just tell you,
that's an orange willow.
Yeah, this bait is.
I've never seen an orange willow.
Yeah, this bait sucks, and nobody should ever throw it. For this, this is a killer right here. There's some guys right now going, nobody needed to see that bait on BTL. There's something special about the orange willow. the top 20 I had at Pickwick last year, every one of them came on this. Wow, I wish I keep it on this.
And that's the hardest thing to do on BTL because everything's reversed.
Yeah, I'm going
to hold stuff up and you hold it right and it goes left.
We do a nighttime line of spinnerbaits too that we have custom.
Oh yeah, Beaver Lake, Washita, you're around that stuff where they fish nighttime all the time.
A lot of, kind of color, black and red and blue. So single spins.
So let me ask you this on spinnerbaits. So there's some spinner. I enjoy throwing spinnerbaits. I like it. I would not consider myself a spinnerbait aficionado, Chris, but I know what I want. I know what I like. I got box out there with 5,000 different blades, Indiana's hammered, Colorado's, Willows, the whole 9 yards. I can take 10 spinnerbaits and 5 of them, like when I reel it in, and I can't even tell you what it is. It looks good in the water, doesn't feel right. Yep. 3 of them look good in the water, and they feel okay, but like just not perfect. And then you get 2 of them, and you make a cast, you can take 3 turns with the handle, and you're like, oh, that feels right. And I don't know what it is, or do you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of that boils down to maybe what I've learned is, sadly, a lot of companies cut the wires back too short, which doesn't allow that wire, in the selling of things, people make this wire a lot shorter.
Okay.
The longer this is, the better the bait will perform and give you some of those things you're talking about. The other thing is it may be a little nuance in the blade. Sometimes you can take a pair of pliers and flatten a little bit on the end of the blade or something like that to try to find that little sweet spot you're looking for as far as maybe vibration or feel. And it's a lot of little nuances like that can cause that. I pay a lot of attention to the blade I put on there. If you get even a willow blade that's cupped a little too much, then it'll spin. It might be better for burning. It'll spin tight, but it may not have you that feel you're wanting when you maybe want to slow down or something like that.
I got you. Because there's nothing better than a spinnerbait that is just dialed in, where after one turn you get that resistance on it, and you can just know that it just feels right. It just feels right. You know what I mean?
You can feel the blades doing what they should do. You can feel the bait kind of fluctuating as the wire moves, and you just go, he's getting ready to eat that.
What hook do you have in that?
I use a Mustad, an O'Shaughnessy bend.
Okay.
Nickel hook. It's practically identical to the War Eagle hook. I really like the hook. It pours good. I do some with a wide gap hook as well. I do a lot of custom work. Going back to wire, that I do some round bend hooks in. I also do some baits with down to 29 gauge wire or 30. So super ultra light wire spinner baits that they do have their place, and they're very special. So I do a lot of that kind of stuff as well.
And you think you could have the exact same fish and you run one spinner bait that's not dialed in next to it versus one that has all those features, and it'll trigger that fish to bite that one. Big lateral line guy when it comes to spinner baits?
Yeah, I don't know what I ever considered with the lateral line, but I do think it matters how a bait is. I don't know the right word. I want a bait that's, it's like here, the wire is causing the skirt and everything to kind of move.
You.
And if you pin all this down to where the blade can't actually move that bait as it's coming through the water, you're really hurting the way it can move through the water, or the way that if that wire is long and you bring it along, you give it that hard twitch, man, that bait just, it causes it to flare in such a way and move in such a way that really impulses a fish to bite, as compared to, I think, one that's just pulling on by.
Well, have you ever watched like KVD in his, well, not even he's still in his prime, but like KVD in his prime, like just, he wouldn't go like, unless you're smallmouth fishing where he's burning something, it was like he was having a seizure on every cast, and you didn't even realize it, and he never really said it. But I went back and watched some of the Kentucky Lake stuff and getting ready for the Open and stuff, and like that dude is like,
yes,
like, I mean, spinner baits, crank baits, whatever. All he is doing is creating erratic bite triggering movements with his bait. Like, there's none of this just like, oh, let's see if there's one on, like,
chuck it and reel it, chuck it and reel. You know, And that's some of the nuances to this type of fishing that I love so much. Is there's a cast with a spinner bait that you put it out there and you reel it and you reeled it and you're like, oh, right now is when I need to go hard as you can, then go back to reeling. And there's something to that. You're in tune with that bait and you're like, right now, I'm close to that stick. I'm close to that bar on that dock, and I'm gonna impulse him to bite it, and then you get him. That getting in tune with that type of thing.
Is that your? Do you have a spinner bait tied on at every tournament you go to? At least tied on in the box, ready to go.
Always. Yeah, if not two. Yeah, I always have a spinner bait. I'm not going to say it always plays, but I'm not going to fish an event and not have one laying there. That there's just been times that even the blistering hot summer that you go, man, I'm just going to zip over and run a spinner bait down that whatever, that riprap. Or I don't have any times at Grand. I'm going along. It's whatever. It ain't spinner bait time. But I'm like, I'm going by here. Let's just stop over and run down through that with spinner bait real quick and catch a 3-pounder. And that's the only bite you get on all day, but you had to have that bite. So that I kind of keep it there for that type of thing, to just to catch a fish. There's times it's the only bait I throw. There's times it's just because I've had times I'm like, God, I just wish I had why did I put that thing away? I need to throw that right here.
Your confidence bait.
Yes, yeah.
And I've watched some of your stuff. You're the old school round rubber jig, a lot of that stuff. Like, I mean, you've got a lot of that stuff, but then I like it, mix it with the G crack, the bellows kills in that. It's an eclectic mixture.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not going to be, there's some stuff that doesn't fit my style. It's kind of like the koi key. Some days I'm like, man, I need to get one of those, but now it's too popular. I don't want to do it now. It's,
I'm shocked that you didn't top 10 grand. I'm not going to lie.
If I hadn't blew the first day, I was close. I should have had a big sack the first day. I just I let them all
Dumped
get
him.
Up. Yeah, I just lost them. You know what I'm talking about? Just stick up on them. Like, here we go. Like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I should have had. I had 18 the second day, caught 40 bass. The other thing, and what I'm doing, this we're going a whole nother conversation here, but I'm watching these opens. I had a great first day at Sam Rayburn, plummeted on the second day. Kentucky Lake, I had a mediocre day the first day, giant bag. Same thing at Grand. I had a mediocre first day. And what I'm doing on these first days, I'm fishing a little too conservative. I'm kind of worrying about the points a little bit. I want to make these EQs, so I'm fishing conservative. And these fish that I went to the second day at Grand were a half a mile away from where I was fishing. I just needed to go. I should have spent a little time on them the first day, and I didn't. But, I still ain't gonna complain about none. But still, if I was landing a few key fish too in a couple of them events, I would have. You know how far a 3-pounder goes.
Yeah, and I mean, I just had this conversation with someone else too. There's times where you do nothing wrong. I had it with Dave Lefebvre. He said maybe the fish lost you. Maybe you didn't lose the fish. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, I've never thought about it.
Maybe it's not all me.
Yeah. Maybe the fish lost you. I mean, it's just weird sometimes as soon as you hook up on a big one, like, you're going to land it. Internally, you're like already counting it. Like, you're like, I got it. And then other times you hook up on it and it's just instant religion.
Yes. I did that last Saturday on 5-pounder down the river. The moment I hooked it, I was like, oh my, you don't get 5-pounders on the river. And I went in total panic mode and got it up the boat and just let it get off, and it's like, man, why did you freak out so bad? All you had to do was land it, but you go into that, what you're talking about. It's like, oh, and you let him get off. So.
I do want to, before I let you go, I do want everybody to know, and a lot of the people are on here, this is your YouTube channel, which is updated very regularly. It's Aspiring Tournament Angler Chris Johnson without the T.
Yep.
You're hard to Google because AI wants to keep adding the damn T in there.
Oh,
turn you into a Canadian 2-time Angler of the Year winner on the Elite Series.
Yeah, I would take that 2-time Angler of the Year part.
Yeah. Now I will say, if you are going to have a very similar name to a very well accomplished pro, and there are some who have been around who will get this and find it, will appreciate it. you are in a much better shape being Chris Johnson without the T than being a Jason Christie with a Y.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll leave it at that.
Oh, my goodness.
Anything.
Oh, my gosh, man.
You know what I'm saying, though? You know what I'm putting down?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And next we'll have... Like, I'm not going to ask you about waking the dog, is all I'm saying. Anything else you want to get on here before I let you go?
Man, I don't.
You talked about your sponsors. Give them a plug. Anyone that you want to mention who's been with you, supported you along this journey, has helped. I know you mentioned it, but anyone you want to get in here?
Yeah, I do. I do need to if I get that opportunity. I got to give a big shout out to McClarty Daniel Chevrolet in Springdale. They do so much for me. If you're looking for a Chevy, they're worth driving over to see. G-Crack, they do so much for me. All these people I'm talking about these are real sponsors. They help me. This is not just little $10 off things. This is real support. So G-Crack, Nightingale Cabinets out of Bentonville, they support me a lot. They support a couple of other pros as well. Mark's a wonderful guy. Powerhouse Electric out of Forest City, Arkansas. They also have an office here in Northwest Arkansas. They do so much for me as well. Crooked Buffalo Ranch is another one that's kind of happened along, but they help me out an immense amount.
I like that name.
Really fortunate to, being the fact that I use all this old stool. Cheryl's really taking care of it.
Cheryl hasn't tried to strap a HDS 12 Live on the front of that thing?
She has not. She's been very whatever you want to get, we'll fix you up.
I'm shocked.
Can I not can y'all make me a flasher and put my name on it maybe? But they've been very supportive and trying to think who else I got here.
I know that's always the double-edged sword is what you say.
You don't want to
name the sponsors, the show's going to over and you're going to have to call someone and be like, dude.
I'm so sorry. Tune Con. Here, you got just a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a minute.
All right. I have no idea where Chris is going. I did find the a picture. I need to save it. I'll show Chris when we get back. So my very first boat when I was 14 years old was a 79 Ranger. I'll wait to show the picture of Chris on it with an Evinrude 175 and a 275 V. Boy, this thing's bringing back memories. I was 14 years old when I had it. Oh, hell yeah. There you go. Now you got to look at the jersey.
Yeah, this is this year, so
I like it.
Yeah, Bomb Battery and Recycling is another one. Backlash and Marine, I'm getting ready to take the boat over there, get some work done. Of course, Arkansas Custom Tackle. Shimano as well. So that's it.
Love it.
I thought that's the best for this year. We'll do. Hopefully next year we'll gain more and add to it.
Yeah, I got to show you this. I asked my dad about it, and he finally found it. So, I mean, I think everyone knows I'm a Bass Cat guy. Love them. I'm like, I'd never understood what it was like where he's like, oh, he's a Bass Cat guy like before, because we were Skeeter before that. There's a lot of good boat companies make a lot of good boats out there, Chris.
Yep.
But I'm a Bass Cat guy now. Love it. Can't wait to get the real deal. But I'm also not going to pretend like it's the only boat on earth. So the first boat I ever had when I was 14, I had a woodworking business called Custom Woodcuts. And I had a 1979 Ranger 275V with an Evinrude 175 on it. My dad just sent me the picture of it.
Oh, yes, man. Yes. I fished with an old man that's going to turn 90 next year. He's got one very similar to that. I love it. That is awesome, dude.
I was so pumped up to get that thing. And then we could never get it would like run like a top, but we could never get the idle right on it. Like you could idle it for like 20 or 30 seconds, but could never get the idle right on it.
That's an old carbureted engine, man. They'll drive you
but
mad.
We go out there and I would try to get that thing shot. I mean, dude, that gel coat wasn't coming back, but I was out there scrubbing on it a lot. It sat there for like a decade after, and I was finally like, Dad, like, sell that thing, man. Like when he sold it, the driveway, which was it wasn't one concrete is the cement's the one that's black, right?
Oh, asphalt.
Blacktop. Asphalt. Had an asphalt driveway, had 2 little horseshoes in it from where that boat had sat there for so long without moving.
Oh boy, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that. That's good.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Hopefully we both make the EQs. I heard they're going down to like 60th or something. Like, hopefully that's not an issue. Like, the goal is for me is go cash a check, get the job done, not have to worry about it at all, and see how many they're going down. But lacrosse next week on the river, one of those deals where no live scope and you can do whatever the hell you want in whatever pool you want and do it. And it'll be interesting to see what it's like this time of the year there. I've never actually fished there. I've done some media events and stuff, but I've never actually like launched the boat and been like, let's go try to
figure this out,
which I like. I've always found like on the stuff that's intimidating, it's always like, well, with the exception of a couple ponds, but it's always like, oh, this isn't as,
it's bass fishing.
Yeah. Isn't as intimidating as I might not even catch them still, but just the fishery isn't as intimidating as I make it out to be in my head. That's a me issue.
Yeah. I got that a little bit eerie last year. I was like, oh my gosh. But then I got there. I was like, man, it's just bass fishing, current, and
like Rayburn was big on that. I'm like, how am I ever going to find fish on this? And he talked to a couple, and then you get out there and you're like, oh, okay. Like, here's one forest, here's another forest. Don't be an idiot in this arm, and you're good to go.
Don't go knock a hole in your Ranger boat. You'll be all right.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate it, Chris. Thank you very much. Enjoy getting ready for the river, and I'll see you up north. I don't know if you are a beer drinker or not, but make sure, I don't know if you're aware of the new Glarus Brewing Company Spotted Cow.
Spotted Cow.
It's from New Glarus Brewing Company. It is available only in Wisconsin. They just raised the prices on it, so you're going to pay for a little bit of it. I got some for the wedding. It was like $65 a case or something, but it's only in Wisconsin. They don't ship it out. They don't send it out. You can only get it in Wisconsin or someone from Wisconsin. You'll see it when you walk in. It's a green and orange can. They make a couple different types, but the Spotted Cow, and I would highly recommend it's got to be cold too, but an ice cold Spotted Cow after a long day on the water when you get back to the VRBO in Wisconsin you cannot beat it.
It's spot on. I will find me some when we get up there. Actually, my wife and the dogs are all going to get to go on this one. So we've got a nice house out in the middle of a field somewhere. So I may just fish and have spotted cows and just have
You got a VRBO in a house in the middle of a field?
Yes.
Ooh, is it an old farmhouse?
I don't know. Lucy found it. She does all this.
I wonder if you got the haunted one.
Lord, I hope not, because I don't like.
Oh, dude, there's a haunted one that's up there in La Crosse, and it's in the middle of a field.
Oh well, this one ain't in. It's not in La Crosse. It's a little bit out of town. So maybe
this one's a little bit out of town. It's got a bar next to it. It's at a big field. It's like a 80-year-old farmhouse. There's nothing around it. You go down a dirt road, dude. There's like you can't go up to the third story. The basement is one where it's a great house, but the basement is one where when you open the basement door, like all the hairs on your body stand up for absolutely no reason, and you're like, I'm a grown man. Like I should not be scared to go down into a basement, but there's no way in hell I'm going into that basement. and then all the rooms are attached with secret doors.
Wow. I hope this ain't it. My dogs.
You'll know. Scott Martin stayed in it too. And I stayed in it a year before, never said or did anything out of it. And then Scott Martin stayed in it and was like, did a whole thing on how he stayed in a haunted house. And I was like, oh my God, it's the same house. Like I wasn't fishing up there. I was covering a tournament. Wow. And I was staying with guys who were on the Elite Series, and they didn't make the cut. So they left. which meant that I was
You
at
were
that
there.
house and I had to upload the footage and things like that. So it was like a Friday, or it was this Sunday night, right? So they like left, they had done all of that stuff, and I was supposed to leave Monday. So I was supposed to stay there Sunday. No one stayed. I was there by myself. I had Mark Jeffries back in the studio, who was like, you got to get this done to me and these photo galleries and this show and all that. And I said, screw this. I have never been so efficient in my life. I was done by 8:15, had all my stuff packed, and before it started to get dusk, I was out of there and I slept in my truck. Other than that, it's a great house. Perfect parking. It's old school. It's fantastic. But I'm wondering, I mean,
I hope
there's
not.
also a lot of fields and a lot of houses up there. So
Yeah. I'm gonna cross my fingers. Luckily Lucy's not afraid of that stuff, so she'll protect me, I guess.
all right. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it so much.
All right. See ya.
Yeah.
All right. There you go, Chris Johnson. Great show. Really enjoyed that. I knew it would be a good show after I talked to him on the phone. So I'm gonna have to find him on the water and do some stuff before the tournament take off, like I do for my videos for this upcoming Open. All right, we're gonna shut this show down, then we're gonna reboot it. We're gonna come back with Mark Jeffries. We're gonna tell some Harold Allen stories. Like I said before the show started, Harold battling some pretty bad cancer right now, hanging out, relaxing. So tell some Harold Allen stories. I mean, like just the ones that we have. So like Harold Allen stories are like 60 years long. So like there's just like that little BTL Bass Zone section of his life. Those are the stories we can tell. Most of the other stories, I don't know if you can't tell. So fantastic show though. Really appreciate it. And thank you to Chris Johnson as he gets ready for the final Open. We'll talk to everybody shortly for a special edition show. And then be back on Wednesday with the regular show, and then Thursday with Frank, and then headed to Wisconsin. See ya.